Now, I fully expect this video to confuse people the most, considering that it's easily the least well-known film I've covered so far, but I really don't care. I'm just gonna use this video for the purposes of stimming over the fact that a movie that I was waiting and hoping to watch for the past few years and was fully convinced that it would never see the light of day turned out this good. So, before I talk about how this is one of my favorite movies of the entire year, yes, I'm being serious, let's talk about the context of this movie's existence so it'll fully hit you how great the end result turned out. For those who don't know, this movie was originally being developed at Blue Sky Studios, who are most well known for making Ice Age, Rio, the Peanuts movie, and not much else. They're not a particularly popular studio, nor are they really all that revered, but they were just kind of making decent movies over in their own corner. This movie internally was considered their magnum opus, and would be easily their best film. Expectations and hype were rising, and then, as a part of the Fox merger, Disney shut down the whole fucking studio, poached the Ice Age IP, and fired everyone else.
Contact!
Even though this movie was reportedly very close to completion, Disney canceled the project because it had gay people in it. Great. Luckily, all was not lost for Nimona 2023, as Netflix found this nearly finished movie and thought, fuck it, we ball, and helped the same team finish the movie. Nothing was heard for a while after that announcement, but when the marketing and previews started kicking in, I was excited. I mean, a 100% on Rotten Tomatoes is certainly nothing to sneeze at, and all of the previews were very, very positive. So even if I had my doubts, after watching the movie during its limited theatrical run, I can safely say that I'm fucking ecstatic about how well this movie turned out. It fucking slaps. I didn't mind the director's last movie and thought it was decent, but the glow up to this is so fucking palpable, it's insane. I've seen a bunch of people before the release of this movie say they don't like its art style, but honestly I thought it looked really creative. The setting being a futuristic medieval fantasy world with high tech mixed in with traditional swords and shields is a really fun stylistic choice that leads to some pretty interesting visuals in the movie. I'm so glad that almost all of the animated movies releasing this year are beginning to look creative and stylized, and this one just looked really fun throughout. I also really vibe with this rock soundtrack. Almost all of the songs are bops, and the backing soundtrack is also very phenomenal. And both the music and the animation contribute to some frankly excellent action scenes that are really engaging and well directed. I also think that across the board, the voice acting is really good. Chloe Grace Moretz as Nimona has a really energetically fun vibe to her dialogue, and she plays off of Riz Ahmed really well, who is good in pretty much everything he's in. But the one who surprised me the most was Eugene Lee Yang. Like, you don't just get an A-list YouTuber to voice a character in your animated movie and have it magically work out. But it did! All of the characters are incredibly entertaining to watch, and the actors who portrayed them did a wonderful job across the board and really added to this movie's already very strong humor. Probably the second funniest movie I've seen all year behind Spider-Verse. But all of this was about what I expected from this movie. A fun, hilarious action movie with great animation, voice acting, really strong humor, and a banger soundtrack. What I didn't expect was for the story to be good. Like, huh? Blue Sky never tells good stories. And sure, the concept of two unlikely people teaming up and solving their goals and becoming friends isn't a unique story. But where it does get unique comes with its themes and how it plays through the story. Both through the past events of Nimona and the present events of Boldheart do we get this movie's main goal, which is basically to show its message of acceptance and understanding. It takes both the structure of fairy tales, medieval fantasy tales, and the general kids movie / monomyth story and questions all of it, asking, for lack of a better way, what makes a monster and what makes a man. And the way it handles that is surprisingly well done and thought-provoking. It gives us backstories and histories for its characters to make us fully understand how they reached their current state, and how they'll move forward. Most were dealt a really bad hand for a variety of reasons, and the movie's overall goal is to show how demonization and ostracization can hurt people in very different but still cruel ways. And this message also ties well to its LGBT themes. It's no secret that the choice to release this in June and its overall themes of acceptance based on a character and not by prejudice makes this a very supportive film for the LGBT community, at least based on what I've heard. I'm not exactly the best to comment about this, but having that element in your main characters mixes very well with the story's themes and messages. It works whether you focus on it or not, and it's used to strengthen an already great narrative. I am very impressed by how this was all set up and executed, and it leads to the characters of Nimona and Ballister becoming incredibly memorable and people who I wanted to spend more time with. It's a movie that I think should be seen by everyone, and one that is everything I wished it would be and more. Is it a perfect movie? Not quite. There are some pop culture references here and there, and while none of them are that awful, some of them were just a little groan-worthy. There were a few moments of weird pacing during the middle, and I think the movie could have benefited from being just a bit longer, but none of these flaws can even hold a candle to just how happy this movie made me. There are a lot of things that are circulating through my brain at the moment, but because it's technically not out yet for very many people, I'm not even going to discuss spoilers for this one. I'm just going to say that this movie will absolutely impress you with its quality, and I want more movies like this. And with this movie being an unequivocal success, I think that this serves as a very satisfying conclusion to Blue Sky Studios' story. May they rest in peace, and I hope everyone who was unjustly fired by Disney has or will get jobs in the future. They never deserved your talent anyway. 9 out of 10. Definitely the best animated film this year to not have The Spot in it.
Spider-Man, why are you good for that guy?
But yeah, I'm glad this movie turned out so good. Not just because of what I mentioned before, but because I had to drive for an hour to bumfuck nowhere, New York, in the middle of a fucking thunderstorm just to see a movie that was gonna release a week later on Netflix anyway. But it was worth it.